Hello, everyone. So, the research talk topic that I was given is suicide prevention. Quite the touchy subject, might I say. But, anyways, let's get started. So, before I dive into the content that I have throughout my presentation, I would just like to address a little bit of an agenda that I will be following throughout the research talk. First, I will address my article and give you a brief summary. I will then go into intermediate teacher impact. So, how is it going to affect us as intermediate teachers? Then I will discuss some classroom implementation strategies. And then finally, I will have some questions posed. So, the article that I found was very relevant pertaining to the intermediate learner and us as intermediate teachers. It is by Dr. Christopher Sudhakar, and the article is called Adolescents' Knowledge of Suicide Prevention, Identification Depression Signs, Suicide Cues, and Reporting Suicidal Risk Among Selected High School Students. The first key point that the article addresses is that the rate of adolescent suicide continues to increase. It suggests that there's a direct correlation between changes in society, which may increase the stress of young people today. Second key point in the article was that teachers and other professionals play such an important role in suicide prevention. So, firstly, identification of suicidal behavior, and that is our duty to report. When we start noticing cues, signs of suicidal behavior, it's our duty as teachers to document that and report it. And then in doing all of this, we help reduce the risk of harm that students may cause to themselves or tragically fatality as well. The third key point that the article addresses is that we must educate ourselves and our students. It is shown in the article that student knowledge about suicide prevention is very low, and that there's a correlation between student knowledge and the suicide and suicidal behavior risk. So, if we can educate our students about suicide, suicidal behaviors, suicide prevention, it is going to decrease their risks. The fourth key point in the article is that students are very unlikely to report suicidal risks. So, this is alarming because we want students to talk. We want students to reach out and get help when they notice these risks and behaviors, but they're unlikely to. So, it is our job to educate them and to notice cues and to check in. The fifth point that the article really addresses is that there are many, many strategies that work differently for each individual. So we must look at each case differently and address it uniquely. How will this impact my work and your work as an intermediate teacher? Well, in many, many, many ways. So, first being student safety. That should always be the number one concern. Prevention and intervention in this case are key. First, we want to try to prevent any forms of suicidal behavior. And if we need to, it is our job to intervene. Intervening may be multiple different things. It may be just simply checking in on a student to see how they're doing. It may also be reporting and documenting very serious information regarding a student. This will also impact us because we must educate our students about mental health and physical health and suicide prevention as well. It is our job to educate parents and how we can help their students understand mental health, physical health, and really navigate at this very vulnerable stage in their life. Ongoing professional development is a must. If we are professionals and we're asking our students to trust us with our knowledge and with our morals, then it is our duty to continuously educate ourselves about ongoing issues and concerns. That is how we're going to continuously help our students. And lastly, our personal mental health is so important. If we can take care of ourselves, we will be able to give the best version of ourselves to our students, which they deserve. There's so many things that as educators we can incorporate into our classrooms to keep it a very safe, accepting, and positive learning environment. In terms of classroom implementation strategies for suicide prevention, it's all about positive mental health. It's all about keeping and maintaining a positive learning environment, one that's accepting, one that's trustworthy, one that a student can come in and feel like they want to explore, they want to learn, and they want to share their ideas with the class. I have split the strategies into two different categories, sort of. So, the first one being classroom environment. That is very important. So, maintaining a respectful and open learning environment, a zero tolerance to bullying and disrespect, because these things are correlated to suicidal behaviors and negative or a decline in mental health in youth. Regular check ins and building rapport with students. Have empathy for your students. All of these things, getting to know your students, really showing interest in their lives, these are all things that help contribute to a positive learning environment. Discussion circles is another one. This just helps give that open vibe to your classroom and really allow students to feel like they are a part of the classroom and that it's not just you teaching a class. They are equally as involved in their learning. The second category that I kind of grouped everything into is education. So, really educating your students about mental and physical health. At this stage in their lives, they are adolescents, they're starting to hit puberty, they're very unsure of things that are going on in their life, they're very vulnerable. So, if we're here and we can kind of mitigate some of the stresses that they might have, hey, that's amazing. So, um, suicide prevention strategies. So, sometimes we get a little bit hesitant to address these topics with our classes, but it is shown that addressing suicide prevention strategies with your class, um, along with mental health and positive coping strategies, is helpful and will help reduce the risks or at risk behavior. And lastly, it might be helpful to implement different scenarios with your class and kind of go over what something might look like and what something could. To conclude, I'm just going to summarize a little bit of the findings of the article. So, structured education is very important, and about when we educate about suicide prevention, that is key in reducing the risks of suicidal behavior. Education may also act as a suicide prevention strategy. So, if we educate our students about mental health, positive coping strategies, suicidal behavior, this will reduce the risks and lower the numbers. Some other mental health issues and lack of suicide prevention knowledge will put some students at a greater risk for suicidal behavior or suicide. And the safety of ourselves and our students is essential. This is one of the most important things, or the most important thing, that you could take from this. The first discussion question that I have for you is: has anyone encountered any students displaying signs of suicidal behavior on your placements? The second discussion question that I've posed for you is: what are some suicide prevention strategies that we could use in our future intermediate classrooms? And my third and last discussion question is: what are some suicide intervention strategies that we should use in our future intermediate classrooms? Finally, here's my list of references. Thank you for listening and take care.